guys, welcome to another video. So I know it's been a while since I last updated you on the Mustang, and that's because I've been waiting on parts to come in. I ordered the new bushings last week. They've taken about, they're supposed to be here Tuesday, it's been a couple days later, and then that and the holidays, so I've just been kind of procrastinating on videos. Anyway, so today parts finally came in and we're going to be installing the bushings in the front sway bar. So I just want to take you guys along for the day and show you how that's going to go down. But pretty much ever since I tightened up that bolt, it's gotten significantly worse. Like the sound, like it tightened it up for a while, sounded away, and then we got some snow, and that just completely trashed everything down there, like bushing wise, as far as those two front ones were concerned. I think what happened is the water got in there and just kind of, as it froze and as I drove on it, it just kind of messed it up to the point of where there was no real saving it anymore. All right, guys, so I just finished eating dinner. Anyway, so I wanted to tell you about, like, if you have a clunky front end in a 2005, I'm sorry, I'm 2007, 2005 to 2009 Mustang GT, here are the likely causes. All right, so I pretty much replaced everything, and some of it twice. So I did shocks and struts. I've done inner and outer tie rods. I've done end bar or sway bar end links, like the little thing that holds the sway bar to the actual strut. In the rear, I've done lower control arms. So I've done quite a bit of stuff to this car as far as suspension goes. And I've still got a clunk on the front end. And it turns out the biggest culprit right now was by far the cheapest to replace, which was just these little sway bar bushings, which I'll show you when I get there and get the part. But I just kind of want to go over what makes the most sense that if you have a clunky front end, well, you should definitely check for. So number one, check for the sway bar bushings, because after looking at them, they're very soft rubber. The car is now 10 years old, going on 11. Like, it is super easy to see how those get messed up and just beat up. If they look beat up and like you see cracks in them or they're ripped or anything's wrong with them, it's going to create some noise in the front end of your car. So they're like, I don't know, I picked mine up for like 17 bucks off late model restoration LMR.com, and they finally just got here, so I'm going to be installing them. But definitely first thing you should check out, by far the cheapest. The very next thing you should check out is going to bother me, but I replaced mine with the GT500 ones, and that was after going back to getting OEM ones and then going out on me a second time. But that also quieted up the front end tremendously. Those two things don't quiet up your front end, and that's not an order of difficulty, or, well, it is to an extent. What you should really check next would be your sway bar end links, or rather your sway bar links at the very front of the car. They go from the sway bar to the top of the strut, or like about middle up the strut, and those are super useful. Like those, if they get loose or worn, you'll get a lot of play in there because there's two ball joints. Next, obviously check your ball joint, make sure that's nice and tight. Lift jack up one side of your car, wiggle your wheel around, make sure nothing too crazy is going on. And if that's fine, you're good. And lastly, your struts and shocks would be the last thing to check. I went way out of order. I did shock struts, end links, and inner and outer tie rods, and then lower control arms. And that quieted up for about half a year. And then the ones I got were Monroe. They started making good noise again after I did some rough driving. So I went ahead and got Coney orange shocks and struts front and rear. The lower control arms are still the ones from Monroe. And then I went ahead and, as I said, got the GT500 strut spring cap things. I'll throw in a picture, I can't think what they're called. As well as throwing in, there's something else. Oh yeah, and then I also did the lowering springs. For the rear, I did the lower control arms and the center axle centering bar, panhard bar. So with all that, like, I expected it to be fixed and done. But when I was looking at possibly replacing the lower control arms again last video, I realized, well, 2 videos ago now, I realized that there's definitely a messed up bushing in there for both sides of the sway bar. And after tightening it up, I was like, okay, it's cracked, but it might be all right. I went ahead and drove it around for a while, and it starts making noise again, same spot, so obviously that's the problem. So that's why I went ahead and bought the new ones. So hopefully that fixes the problem, because I'm getting really sick and tired of messing with the suspension. This shit's driving me nuts. And then while I was at it, I also bought a grease gun, because although I greased them when I initially put them on, the rear control arms from BMR, they have a I think it's a polyurethane bushing in there, so it's real hard plastic. I didn't know you're supposed to re-grease them after 500 miles, so that would explain why they're starting to get a little noisy again. And then every 5,000 miles after that. Shout out to Nate Ryder, because I did not know that. And after watching this video, I was like, oh, well, I did the same thing. I should probably re-grease them. So I'm going to be doing that today as well, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, you're all along for the ride, and it's time to get these parts. Alright, so just picked up our part right here. I will show you what that looks like once I get to my buddy's house to install it. Now, you may ask, why didn't I just order it to my house? And that is because if I order it to my house, oh boy, I live in the barracks, so it's going to take about a month to get to me. And then, same reason I can't do installs or anything else in the barracks is because they have a parking lot and I can't have tools there. I probably could, but I don't have a place to store them all, so hence, I have friends. But yeah, so that's where I'm going to be going now, and I will see you there. Alright, so we are at his house. As you can see, like always, wheels are off again. So the part I'm talking about is right in here. This right there is the bushing, and this is your sway bar. This is your sway bar end link right here, and it goes from there down to the sway bar. So, taking that off. While we're at it, quick unboxing. These are nice new ones. There's our grease that comes with it. There's your bushing 1, bushing 2, one per side, polyurethane, much tougher. Split us on this side to get it over. So let us continue. I'll show you what it looks like with it installed. Alright, so we just pulled this off. As you can see, the bracket's no longer, well, you really can't see, it's dark. Anyway, here's the bracket right here. This is the sway bar. This is the bottom of it. As you can see, that is totally torn. This is the side that's supposed to be kind of ripped a little bit, not really. That's actually pretty beat up. This whole thing is just pretty much shot. As you can see, there's a lot of extra space in here. It's just like it was loose. There's no grease left anymore. It's just a lot of clunking around. Here's our new one. Nice crisp cut. We're gonna go ahead and get this installed. And this bracket fits right over top like so. And that'll be situated right in there. So let's get it greased up and installed. Can't wait to get this front end to be silent once again like it's supposed to be. Anyway, here we go. Alright, well, just finished installing. Let's see, as you can see, a little bit of red in there. Where is it? Kind of hard to tell, it's behind the tire back there. But that is the new bushing. So, she's in. She'll be nice and quiet up front, hopefully. And, yeah. Yes, well, I went ahead and went over the front suspension. I installed the bushings as you saw. I did find that one end bar link, so from the sway bar to the actual strut itself, was pretty loose. Like the bolt itself was tight, but like you have to kind of pinch on a piece of metal, and it was loose. So I tightened that up, and that was part of the noise. And then the bushings were definitely shot, as you saw. Like they were pretty bad. But now that it's in the front end, it's definitely more stable. I'm not getting any weird noises anymore. I was still getting something a little weird from the back that I was trying to figure out. After I re-greased it, it was still there. I couldn't figure it out. And then it dawned on me to check the adjustable. To check the adjustable panhard bar. And when I was down there, I was like, oh well, there's my noise, because the one bolt, it's kind of like a 3-bolt system. So the middle one adjusts the length, and the one on each side adjusts. It puts pressure on each side of that bolt to make sure that nothing gets broken or that it doesn't move. So the one on the bottom side was still tight, the one on the top side was tight, but to the wrong side, so I had about a gap of space that was just allowing a little bit of play in there. So I went ahead and tightened that up while I was at it, and now she's riding good again. So that's pretty awesome. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like if you did. There's going to be some pretty dope content coming real soon. But I will leave that for next video. So, take it easy and have a great day.